Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. All right, we are back here with Maureen, Caley, Verdonk. Excited to have her here to talk more about her work as a professional coach, of course, as an inspired living life coach, I should say. That's the name of her company. And we're going to put you right to the website if you can visit her, Mo Caley. So she goes by Mo, MoCaley, Verdonk.com. And again, Inspired Living Life Coaching is the name of her company. Please introduce yourself to our listeners. Thank you.
Hello, Jill. It's great to be here. So what do I want to share today? I love my job.
Clearly.
I'm absolutely, I believe I'm privileged to be able to do the work I'm doing, working with individuals and groups in helping them to make changes in their lives. And one of the really specific areas that I focus on is working with women who are really wanting to learn how to speak up, speak their truth, and do it with integrity and intention and with influence. And so that's one of the things that I've been focusing on in my own life. And when I recognized that the focus of coaching that people were coming to me with was around speaking up, like that was
how to open their vocal cords, how to speak up, how to feel confident about speaking. And absolutely.
Yes. So then I do what I do is I reach a certain point in my own life, and then I need to study more and find information and resources that really make sense to me. So then I practice them, embody them, and then I share them with others. So the one that I'm really excited about these days is the Women Speak coaching and the Women Speak circles, helping women to speak up and public speaking for women.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, by the way, just to point out again, I gave out your website. Would you mind sharing a phone number or other form of contact as well before we continue?
Sure. So my email is Maureen, Maureen, at mocaleyverdonk.com, MoCaleyVerdonk.com.
Great. Thank you so much. Also, let's point out, I might have a caller here on the line. Hello, welcome to the show. Are you there?
Yeah.
Yes, hello. Who's this?
This is Frankie White.
Frankie White, you're on the line here. Verdonk, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Great. Do you have any questions for her in particular?
Well, I love the show today. It's fantastic.
Well, thank you. Say thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
I love the
I'm
show.
having a bit of a hard time hearing, so I
okay. I'll let you know. So as you know, she's a certified coach, and we're talking today about becoming one with your own voice. What question did you have for her in particular?
Well, I just heard it while I was driving and just want to call and just say that I love you guys' show today. It's fantastic, and she's very informative. I really don't have any questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You too.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. I didn't even know the lines are open, but look, there you go. All right. So go ahead. So share. I'm sorry. Where were you? You're sharing your information.
Okay. So, and you can also phone or text me, 867-993-3451.
Great. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So let's talk about helping people out there obtaining that voice.
Yes. And while I focus primarily with women, some of the men that I work with as well, they struggle in actually speaking in ways that are helping them to connect with others. But right now I am focused on women. And so my learning, that's where I had been telling you about, is finding programs for me. And I got connected with the Women Speak circles and discovered that this was a really powerful way for me to learn the practices that they're offering and then be able to share them with others. And one of the biggest things that can hold people back from sharing their ideas with others is the fear of speaking up publicly, whether on a big stage or at team meetings or even at dinner parties. And it can really hold women back. And one of the things that was really fun for me about Women Speak, because they have some revolutionary ideas about the fear of public speaking, and that has really helped a tremendous number of women around the world to feel free to share their voices, and learning how to harness the energy that's inside of us, that if I'm afraid to speak up, how to use that knowledge and that sensation in my body to actually have it work for me.
Yeah.
And Jill, one of the things that has been intriguing to me in having these conversations with you is, did you ever have a fear of public speaking? You've been in this business.
Well, everyone says that. They say, "How do you do it? How do you do it?" I said, "Do you realize, like, if I'm on television on the radio, it just comes like second nature. But when you put me in a room, if I'm hosting an event in front of people like that I know are watching me, I get anxiety. I feel so, like, I do a lot of corporate speaking and events. I did one for IBM recently, and there's a crowd of like 500 people in the room, and I'm like so nervous, and everyone's like, "Oh, you did so good. You're so," and I'm like, you don't know, but I still get those nervous feelings and I just go. But I'm telling you, I still feel nervous. Yes, all the time. And all I do is just try to be me. That's it. And the one advice I got, one of the most important pieces of advice I got one time was from a country singer who told me, all you got to do is remember, look out there, pretend everybody on the toilet bowl. And I said, okay. So I could laugh and think about that, like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, thank you for that, because that's really important information, that you do this all the time and you still get this nervous energy. And what if I told you that that nervous energy is actually helping you to really prepare to meet the energy that's actually coming from your audience?
Yeah. Oh, I haven't thought about that. You're right.
and to actually embrace that energy, for welcome it and go, oh yeah, nervous energy helping me to have what it takes to be able to connect with the surge of energy that is sitting out there in the audience.
Yeah.
And I was recently going to do some training, and I for an organization, and I could feel this, the closer I got, this tension, this tightness in my body. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this when I'm feeling like this? And then I remembered, oh yeah, that's actually my body's way of saying, you've got what it takes, let's just connect. And so that's one of the really important elements, is helping us to connect with our bodies.
Yeah.
And a practice that is part of the Women Speak program and teachings actually takes a practice that I've had, that, and it expands it, and it's called the caress of the breath. And so when we feel that nervous energy,
I like that.
that tightness, that heart palpitation, whatever it might be. For me, I get a lot of pressure in my head because I've had this thing about, I want to impress. I want them to know that I know. And
Yeah.
so it really shows up in this area for me. And so what I do with the caress of the breath is I'm able to, when I recognize it, I pause and I breathe in and I imagine my breath just
Yeah.
going into this area. And I think of it as like a tender touch, just welcoming it. It's almost like a soothing touch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to change it or fix it. I welcome it. And when I think about it, I'll ask, is there anything that you want to say from this place? And what I find from that is that actually my true voice then is able to come out, and I get out of the mindset,
Yeah.
that old habit of wanting to show you that I know what the heck I'm talking about. And actually, yes, that comes through, and it's about the connection. And it's been really a helpful and powerful practice for me.
Awesome. See, we all could need some help and use some helps at all time. It's not, nobody's perfect. Even working in this business all the time. It doesn't work that way. You need practice, you need help, and you need guidance. So how long did it take you to feel comfortable to speak publicly in front of people and doing what you do? Because as a coach, you got to have that confidence.
Yeah, I believe it's a continuum
Okay.
and it grows. And oh my gosh, I'm thinking back to one of the early times, close to 30 years ago. So I've been doing this work in different ways
Mm-hmm.
for over 30 years. And it's probably been the last 10 years that I've really felt more and more confident in my ability to not have everything scripted, and to be able to trust that inner wisdom, that I have the knowledge. And yes, I have notes.
Yeah.
And it's a continuation of learning and honing my skills. And it's been the last 3 years, I'd say, that I've really been recognizing the body information in a deeper way and using that to support me.
Got it.
So it's a practice.
Good. And you're teaching so many others. Also, let's remind everyone, Mo, how we can reach out to you. We're halfway through, so it's always a good time to remind everyone.
Okay. So Maureen, Maureen, at mocaleyverdonk.com, MoCaleyVerdonk.com, or my website at mocaleyverdonk.com, or by phone 867-993-3451.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. What else is in line for today? Again, we're talking, she's a certified life coach, and we're talking about opening up, being able to be confident enough to speak, to embrace who we are. Not always an easy task. What else did you want to expand upon?
Well, I'd like to share a little bit of a story about a woman who was in my Women Speak circle in the fall. And she was saying that she just felt great during the circle and felt confident in her ability to speak, and really loved the way the participants and myself would listen to her and provide celebration back to her, what we really heard from her. And it's like we learn to listen in a way that a woman cannot help but blossom. And so what she was describing to me, she felt this ease in her body, and she felt this energy and this sense of, I've got what it takes. And then she had recorded herself and listened back. and went, oh my God, I sound terrible. Like, how could they even
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
anything? And it reminded me of, oh, about a year and a half ago, when I was in the Women Speak Mastermind and in the group, and people were doing this kind of listening, which in Women Speak, it's called fertile listening. I had thought of it as deep listening, but it's even deeper and more, oh my gosh, more, oh, can't find the word. That's okay. It'll come. It's a specific listening to hear what women are saying and what's really amazing about her in the moment. And I did exactly what that woman had done in the moment. I was just there and present. And then I listened back and I went, what the heck? How could they have found anything about what I said or how I said it to be able to give me this kind of celebration? And what I discovered from that, and what this other participant discovered, is that go-to that many of us have of being a really harsh critic towards ourselves. And it's so much easier to be hard on ourselves, so that if somebody criticizes us, we are better equipped to take it, because we've already been really hard on ourselves. And I believe we need to be in situations, in supportive environments, where we actually can begin to believe that, yes, what I have to say really does matter. And we have to learn and go through that awkwardness and recognize our own harsh critics, as well as be able to learn how to receive the celebration, the people listening really intently for maybe it's a phrase that has come out, maybe it's the way I used my voice, or the way perhaps I used my body. And our attention, the listeners, our attention on the other person's brilliance grows, and it also grows internally.
Beautifully said. And also, as an empath, you also have to enlighten people. Tell us a little more about yourself.
Okay, so I never thought of myself really as being an empath. For a long time, I just couldn't understand why I was so affected by the energy around me, by what other people were saying and doing. And it's actually a really resourceful skill and quality to have in my work. And being able to be really present and learn how to drop into my body, to use my whole body to listen. That sounds kind of funky, but really to be able to practice full presence. I believe I'm still learning, and that helps me to recognize when other people's energy is actually coming in. It feels like it's penetrating into me, that I can then use that to ask questions or reflect back to my clients what they're saying, or maybe what they're not saying, and just be curious with that information that my system is receiving. Is there anything that's making you wonder about, or would like me to explain a little more?
Well, I know you by now, but I love this because you learn something new each and every week that we speak, and about your technique and who you are. And you mentioned you never thought of yourself as an empath. I thought you thought yourself as an empath. That's why I said that. I was like, wait, I'm confused. But yeah, I mean, it's like is empath the same word as an intuitive? Because you have that intuition, right?
Mm-hmm. You know, I I don't know that for sure.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know that all empaths necessarily think of themselves as
As
intuitive.
okay.
And again, I mentioned the continuum. And I think it's a process of learning about ourselves as well as in relation to others.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much. Well, I mean, the work you're doing with people, clearly you get a sense of someone after when you have your initial consult, right? Which, by the way, we should explain the process to working with a coach. You start with an initial assessment. How long does that last one-on-one via, is it a Zoom call or in person or phone call? Do you prefer?
Any of the three.
Okay. And how long does it take for like an assessment process? I'm assuming there's a list of questions that you have to give and take and
Yeah. I I give an hour. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. And it's about gathering information from the person who's contacting me. And they're also gathering a little bit of information about my style and how I work. And that's complimentary and absolutely no pressure to have to work with me or feel like I'm going to give you the sales pitch. It's about, am I the right fit for you? And are you the right fit for me and for the work that I'm offering?
got it. So
So,
that initial assessment, you talk to someone, you get to know them, and then how do you put the plan in place? And how does it work to work with you directly as a coach? What's the commitment process and accountability on our end, let alone on your end? And how many times are we meeting and talking a week?
yeah. So the commitment, it varies a little. I like a 3 to 6 month commitment, and it can be weekly or every other week. Those two options are what I have discovered to be the best in building up the momentum for the client to really integrate what we are working on. And they they set some goals for themselves and intentions, and what they actually bring to me on any given day, we go with what's alive right now, and then we review partway through, and then again at the end, are we meeting your goals and what might need to adjust? And so giving some living practices to integrate into their lives. I love journaling. Not everybody does, but when we keep a little bit of a record, it helps to stay focused, and it can help with our own reflection practice. And that is really valuable in creating the life that we want, changing habits.
And hoping now is the time. Again, we've talked about New Year's resolutions before. Some believe, some don't, following through, but this is the perfect time to really get started, to get motivated. But not everybody could do it alone. And you need that person and non-bias person, because sometimes we go to family and friends and that could be disastrous. Just saying.
Yeah.
And normally when you're working, give me some examples of some of the clients that you've been working with that maybe you can reach out and empathize with our listeners today.
So some of the clients that, one comes to mind who came to me asking, I want you to teach me how to be more compassionate towards myself. And so through the mindfulness meditation teacher program I'm in, almost complete, that the practices that I'd been learning prior to that really embracing and embodying compassion in our lives is a huge switch from the conditioning that so many of us have on being kind of mean to ourselves. And so it takes a lot of practice to actually change that, rewire that deeply grooved practice of trying to make change, trying to do things differently with an unkind approach, like a kick your butt kind of approach.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the clients one of a type of client that comes to me asking for something specific. Others, and with that, and I'm thinking about the speaking as well, it's also part of what learning how to use their voice in a way that we can be kind to ourselves and continually go, what would I like to have said differently? How could I have said that differently in a way that is actually honoring myself as well as the other person? And this is part of learning to use our voice to speak our truth. And it's also about the compassion towards ourselves. Overwhelm is another huge area that people are coming to me with, and we talked last week a little bit about that and how to, it's kind of like how to reset and recharge and shift the ways that we are perhaps thinking and approaching our lives, packing more and more on.
I know, at this day and age, right? That's all we do. We overdo a lot of overdoing out there. We still got 3 minutes left. Mo, what else did you want to share with us? How can we reach you? And give us some words of inspiration for the week, please, for the weekend, I should say.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I'll give you words of inspiration because it might leave me. So one of my favorite quotes, favorite quote from Maya Angelou. I love her work and the work she's contributed. And one that's coming to me, top of the other one, is she offered this idea of a no more complaints day, a day of amnesty, I believe it was called. And I found that fascinating. So I practiced it. It helped me to make some big changes in my life. The other one that I really love goes something like, people are not going to remember necessarily what you said or what you did. They are going to remember how you made them feel.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And how can we reach out to you to start working with you?
Okay, so you can email me at Maureen, Maureen, at mocaleyverdonk.com, MoCaleyVerdonk.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pleasure to have you here and looking forward to the next time we speak again. You have a great weekend and thank you for this insight. And again, you got to find your inner voice. You can do it. You could be confident. You can get there. And why not give Mo a call? She can help you clearly with all that she does. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. Thank you. And to all of our listeners, stay tuned. More of the show is on the way.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.